my name is Shloka, and today I'd like to talk about language preservation. It's that topic that always surrounds Konkani events, but we never really talk about, like how much dalitoy is too much dalitoy. The correct answer is never. You can never have enough. It's a fact. Konkani on paper is in a much better spot than a lot of languages that are considered endangered. We still have millions of speakers. If you even check the UNESCO map of endangered languages, Konkani doesn't even make the cut. Great! We're out of the danger zone! Yay! Except the more perceptive of you may have realized that I'm not speaking Konkani right now. And you may ask yourself, Shloka, you are a highly intelligent person capable of great things. Why can't you learn your language? You have the drive, the ambition, and I would stop you there, because I would get very suspicious and ask you, what do you want? And I would walk away, slowly. My reason for being involved in the Samailan was to learn my language, but then I quickly discovered this is a difficult task. So today, I want to cover 3 things. Why should we preserve Konkani? How do we do this? And who should preserve it? So let's start with the why. There's no guarantee how many Konkani speakers will actually exist in the future, so there's a real possibility that the language may go extinct. The question is, if it does, what is really lost? Well, if we're about preserving our culture, Konkani is it. Konkani itself, the language, is a preservation of our history. Without going into full details, through the multiple invasions of Goa, even prior to the Portuguese, people have protested, fought, demonstrated, and resisted the destruction of Konkani. When individuals left Goa, that also preserved the language. Throughout history, there have been many revival attempts. Vaman Raghunath Shenoy Bardevalaulekar, a Konkani activist in the early 1900s, wrote many texts to attempt to revitalize Konkani, including one epic which incorporates parts of the Upanishad, Bible, Quran, and Talmud. Language codifies the way people think. Preserving Konkani is literally preserving our diverse history. Konkani unifies across so many religions, geographies, diasporas, and scripts. It's beautiful. So second, how do we do this? Well, there seems to be a consensus.
There are plenty of examples of languages being brought back from the dead. There's Cornish, there's Hebrew, there's Tunica. All of these languages had one thing in common. When the last native speaker died, there were materials for the cultural descendants to bring them back.
A language survives if you have the choice to learn it. If it's available for you to live your life in some way with your language as part of you. In Wales, you have a choice of whether to go to an English medium school or to a Welsh medium school. And in this way, children can learn in the language that they're speaking at home.
Wikitongues and the National History Recovering Voices Project also agree. The solution is simple. Record it, distribute it at scale, and make it easy to find and learn. In the Konkani community, we talk the most about Hebrew. I interviewed one of my Jewish friends who is very active in her community to ask how she learned to read and write Hebrew. And it was simple. She was taught for her coming of age ceremony and in school. Around the world, Hebrew is a language listed in most language learning software. There are tons of books in English and other languages to learn Hebrew. There are immersive camps dedicated to learning the language. It is even made secular. So if someone ends up having a partner or friends who don't speak Hebrew, there is a pathway for them to learn it. A repeatable, scalable program that anyone can access. Right now, if I wanted to learn Hebrew, it is easier for me to learn than Konkani. Currently, there are 2 more languages that have active efforts to rise from the dead, Cornish and Tunica. And how are they getting started? With elaborate efforts to matchmake the world so their people never disappear? Perhaps, but preserving Konkani is more than just preserving the people. The core strategy is to bring languages into schools, not just in the home country and not just in the home state, but everywhere for everyone, even those not part of their cultural group. And around the world, there's an increasing generation gap, culture gap. But even if there are parts of the culture that don't apply, the language still can. And the truth is, everyone knows this. Most Indians have experienced this. Even if you grew up speaking Konkani, Kannada, Marathi, you probably learned Hindi from books, even if you don't speak it most of the time. According to an article in The Hindu in September 2019, only 26% of native Indians speak Hindi as their mother tongue. Think about that, just under 3/4 of the country learned Hindi, the most widely known Indian language in the world, in school. It was taught. So this brings us to who? Who should be doing this work? Well, you. I don't speak the language, but you do. You, if you speak Konkani and are listening to me and are deeply concerned or sad that I'm speaking English right now, this is your welcome letter to please teach me. But not just me, every other kid and adult like me who had no opportunity to practice this language around the world. Come together and ensure all major language learning software offers Konkani. Create learning resources in different languages that can easily be distributed online so others can learn. Start secular, immersive camps in Konkani for those who want to learn the language. In the US, in India, for kids, for adults. Get subtitles and dubbing for major films in Konkani. Make podcasts. Konkani as a language is in a much better place than a lot of others. We have millions of speakers, but our biggest concern is that it's progressively being forgotten. Children forget it. Rather than see that as a negative, I see that as a glimmer of light. Because I'm 50% of the way there. I can understand it, but I can't speak it. There are so many who have that entry point. They've heard it, they've learned it, they understood it once. And those kids, like me, just simply need to relearn, maintain, and regain those skills. And the solution might not be a matrimonial service or religious teachings. It could be as simple as that same lesson we got in math. Practice, practice, practice.